Whoa, it's the CU Podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this completely unnecessary podcast. Tuesday, September 11th, 2018. Sort of a somber day of remembrance, but we're going to try to have fun today. This is Pat Contry. That's Ian Ferguson.
Howdy.
We got some gaming topics for you today. No movie topics this time out. We're talking about Zen Pinball Effects 3. Talking about the Polymega and what's going on there. Ian's chugging that water, that ice water down
it's good.
from Pat's LG fridge. We're talking about Super Combat Fighter on Kickstarter, Spider-Man Easter Egg wedding proposal in the game, a Scumbag Seller of the Week update, your Q&A. Ian, I was at convention this past weekend. I was in Retro World Expo in Connecticut. I had a bunch of fun. I was on the Video Game Years panel. I had my own panel as well. It was a good time. I'm also going to be at a video game con in New Jersey this weekend, coming up in New Jersey. That is September 15th and 16th, and then I will be at Retropalooza September 29th and 30th in Arlington, Texas. So lots of conventions going on. We have a shirt for sale right now. Go to teespring.com/CU shirt. Now this campaign is expiring very soon. So this expires, looks like the end of day on September 12th. By the time you're listening to this, it might be too late. If you're listening to this, you got like 3 hours left maybe to go to teespring.com/CU shirt and order your shirt in regular premium. There's a women's more fitted shirt as well there. And yeah, go for it. Go pick it out. And Ian and I are starting to get into that Twitch action.
Yes.
We're twitching it.
I had intended to for a bit, and then Fire Pro Wrestling World was coming out, and that seemed like a good way for me to jump in. It's one of the few games that I know well and I'm actually decent at. So when that came out, that's where I decided to start doing it more so during the day.
How is Fire Pro, by the way? Do a mini review since it's officially out, the retail version, right?
Well, I mean, it's basically the same as it was when it came out.
Same as it ever was?
In pre-release, because I was playing pre-release right up until the point where it was getting the commercial release. The main differences are I'm actually playing the single-player mode, which has
story mode for the U.S. audience, which is nice.
Yeah, it has you go through New Japan Pro Wrestling. That was added for the console release, and then
that's coming to Steam eventually, I think.
It's already on Steam.
Oh,
they added it about. Excuse me. I think they added that about 6 months ago as DLC.
Okay.
And then obviously it was included in the physical release. I believe there's a fairly expensive DLC for a promoter mode, which I haven't checked in with yet. I'll actually probably check that out this week.
Is it expensive?
I think it's like $50.
$50 for a DLC add-on.
Uh-huh.
When the game doesn't cost that much.
Game's $50.
Oh, it is $50?
Yeah. Oh, the release, I mean, it was only $20 in pre-release.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I have to look at that, but the game that you get is basically the Fire Pro game that you've been getting for ever. So, yeah, I'm not really sure what the DLC entails.
There's a charity DLC as well. I'll have to get one wrestler, Yoshihiro Takayama, for $2.99. I'm looking at it right now. There's also a season pass on Steam, so that's interesting. So I got to pick it up. Got to see what's going on with my pal Kenny Omega in there. Good they get that. They got that deal. New Japan is really on the rise more and more the past year and a half, 2 years. So this is good for them to get involved with this, get their names out there more. And yeah, I'll have to get this at some point as well for sure. Has someone made a Pat and Ian wrestler yet?
I have not looked.
I liked my one from Six-Man Scramble. It was pretty accurate for a late 90s Pat. It was fairly accurate at the time. You can go to right now, you can pre-order a certain Super Nintendo guidebook that's coming out next year. I had like 50 people ask me about that in Connecticut. It's like, hey Pat, is it done yet? I'm like, hey, all right, it's not even finished being written yet, but it's getting there. You got to relax here. You got to relax. It's coming. It's coming. So right now you go to ultimatesnes.com. You can pre-order that. And also, Volume 3 Pat the NES Punk DVDs are back in stock. Oh, yes. You want to see that Alicia Alicia Dragoon video uncut. All you can with the Volume 3 DVD. That's a selling point. There you go. And there were definitely people that looked at that and were like, I'm buying it because of that at the convention. That definitely happened. Right there. So that's what's going on. Anything else happening, Ian, in your world? We're recording early. That's why our voices are kind of froggy right now.
Yeah, it's a little early for me to really think about what else might have happened over the weekend.
It's a little too early?
Yeah.
It's probably a good thing, I guess.
Maybe.
What anything other highlights from the weekend that happened? I bought a very expensive Turbo CD game I kind of regret.
There's that.
There's that. So now I'm down to two games I'm officially sort of needing for sort of my, I guess, baseline collection, you can say. And then that's pretty much it. That's pretty much then like retirement can make it at that point. The amount of new games I'm searching for, I wish there was like a graph of the new games I'm buying year by year.
Right.
And it went from like hundreds and hundreds a year to now it's like not even tens a year. It sort of dipped down because, you know, I have a want list, and that want list is going to games that, like, yeah, I want them if I see them, but I'm not actively hunting them like on eBay. Like, it's like a few, like I think I still need like Ogre Battle for Super Nintendo, but I'm not like dying to get it. You know, it's an interesting game that I'd like to have, but if I don't, I'm not gonna cry about it. Maybe. Anyway. So that's it. So we gotta get going. We gotta get going with this podcast. We're limited because Ian has to work in a bit. That's why we're recording early. So Ian, you love pinball.
I do. I love the pinballs.
You were excited about this announcement that wasn't a total shock, based upon a segment we did earlier in the year about the Williams tables rights being lifted away into the air.
Yes,
for someone to grab, and someone grabbed them.
So Zen Pinball, the creators of Pinball Effects, a long-running series of digital pinball titles, now has the rights to the Bally Williams tables, which is great news. It means that the digital rights aren't going, means that the Williams tables are going to stay in the digital pinball spotlight. The rights initially sat with Farsight Studios, the creators of Pinball Arcade, and they held on to them for years and put out numerous tables from the Williams Bally lineup.
They had a chunk of the tables.
They had a good chunk of them on the Pinball Arcade platform throughout the years. But the and I don't know, what manner that this or how this happened. I don't know the business, workings behind it, but they lost the rights, and or they did not renew them. And basically, there was we talked about it briefly on the podcast, and it was news.
Was that April? About was it?
Somewhere in there. It didn't. Yeah. Basically, they announced it, and they gave a countdown to when the last day you could buy the Williams tables on Pinball Arcade was.
And then on Switch, they originally had it released on Switch with the tables, and they took them away the next day. Right?
Yeah, they took them.
Which I know I would have probably bought it on Switch.
So now, if you own the Williams tables, the Bally and Williams tables on the on Pinball Arcade, you can continue to use them, but you cannot purchase them any longer. So it was announced on September 4th by Zen Pinball that they have acquired the rights to Williams tables and properties, and they will be putting out at a currently undisclosed date the first 4-pack of tables. So it's going to be Junkyard,
nice,
the Getaway 2, or High Speed 2, the Getaway, Fishtails, and Medieval Madness.
Yeah, baby.
And there'll be more to come. And I was lucky enough to get to play some of those, and they are really focusing on. They have a new physics engine that they're using for these tables. So Zen Pinball if you haven't played any of the Zen Pinball games, Zen Pinball, they use fantasy tables, basically tables that they make up themselves, and they're generally attached to, popular properties. They do Star Wars, Aliens. They did a Doom table, a Skyrim table. They did a lot of Marvel tables. Things like that.
Different than the ones that came out from Stern.
Huh?
Different than
yes,
Stern
different than the ones that would have come up out from Stern, but a lot of the same licenses because that's what's popular.
A lot easier to make a digital pinball game than a real one.
So they and those physics tend to be they're good. They feel right, but they're also tuned for arcade digital pinball. These feel much closer to this physics set feels a lot closer to actual pinball.
And you know that because you got an early code.
Yeah, I said that.
Oh, you did that. Okay.
Yeah, I said that I got a chance to play these early.
I didn't get one anyway.
Well, I sit in Twitter and talk about pinball a lot. So the ball, the actual weight of the ball feels heavier. The way it bounces around and sits on the paddles feels different.
And for those that don't play pinball in a video game format, it's very tough to get that feel right versus playing it in an arcade. Like Pin Mame has been around for now 15, 20 years almost, 15 years. And while it gets the job done, it's not. The physics are not there, at least on the earlier versions. It's like, yeah, it gets the job done, but when you can repeat how the ball moves, like one swing, like if I can get like eight ramps in a row in like Pin Mame, that's not going to really happen on a real table unless I'm like extreme expert. So there's a lot more going on with the physics, and obviously they're catching up finally in terms of how this operates, which is good.
So, excuse me. So it's in beta, and there are things for it to work on, but I do think it's very interesting, and I like the way that it plays. They're taking feedback and stuff on that now, and we'll see where that goes. There's more to be announced. I'm looking forward to seeing what other tables they pick up. The tables look gorgeous all around. It's great just to see a new company take a crack at these tables, just to get a fresh coat of paint on them.
Oh, sure.
So graphically,
better to have competition.
Yeah,
not just one game controlling all the tables.
Exactly. It's just nice to see the
innovation, people.
Yeah, it's just nice to see the artwork on the
capitalism
on the on the play field and the that sort of stuff. It just looks cleaner and crisper. It's better assets than it was Pinball Arcade version.
So they're starting with the 4-pack.
So they're starting with that.
Getaway High Speed 2. I haven't played a huge amount of that. I remember being all right. I think I prefer the original from what I remember. Junkyard's really fun.
Yep.
And it has the cool little wrecking ball in the middle, which is unique. Probably one of the reasons I wanted to feature that, because that's something that it's in 3D and looks cool and it's a toy. Medieval Madness, what else you could say? Everyone fucking loves that game. It's fantastic. Fishtails is fun as well. Fishtails is a fun game.
Fishtails is fantastic.
So you have a good starter pack here. This is a strong starter pack that most people are like. All right, I'll be fine even with this before buying it. Let's see what else comes out, because obviously with Williams now you got access to how many dozens of tables that they can release eventually.
Yeah, so many. So, yep, it's exciting, and I think it's great, and it's interesting because there's actually been, in terms of, not just Zen Pinball and Williams, there's been some interesting stuff going on. We never mentioned it earlier, but on the Switch, you can now get Zakaria Pinball. Zakaria is was an overseas manufacturer. They've always had some really cool tables that you can't really find over here. Ones like Farfalla, which are all which is like it's like a butterfly based table. It's really like colorful and crazy looking. They did ones like Robot and Time Machine. A lot of their machines have bright colors and interesting hooks or mechanics to them.
So they really did to make it over here.
Yeah, they were not like over here in mass quantities.
Trying to see if I played any of these. I'm looking at it right now.
And it's great to see that stuff because those are pinball tables, all real official pinball tables that most people over here have not really had a chance
Space
to
Shuttle?
play.
I've seen that one here.
It's not the
Oh,
Space
it's a different
Shuttle.
one.
Yeah, it's not the one you're thinking
Oh.
of. Yeah.
Combat. 1977, by the way, for Combat.
Yeah.
That's not the company. Is that the company that did the knockoff looking tables? What was that company?
That was Gold Star, which was or Gold Star, I think, which was
Like the Rambo knockoff.
yeah, that
with
was
the
a
woman
part
on
of Premiere, which it was I believe that was that had to do with Gottlieb essentially.
It was basically
Yeah,
Gottlieb.
Yeah.
So someone has the rights to those
Yeah.
tables. That'd be fun to buy the knockoff rights. Not knockoff, but you know,
I get what you're saying, but no, it's not them either.
it's like kind of Rambo, but not. It's kind of Top Gun. It's like they were themed after the popular things of the time, but not the real property. You know, there's a charm to that. I don't know if I've ever played one in person. Now that I think about it, I might have played it once.
I haven't seen this much action in the pinball game in quite some time.
Yeah, Ian's got a constant pinball chub going on from this. You know, this is it right here. So now you have two competing software companies, which is great because now, again, it's innovation, give you more value as the value for the consumer, and yeah, you get some nice innovation in terms of what's happening there. So in terms of what else they have coming out, looks like there's a Switch announcement on their FAQ on the website. They're going to have future releases will have Universal Classics, which will include Back to the Future, E.T., and Jaws. I wonder if so. Is that going to be, I guess, an original E.T. game in the real?
No, those you're back to digital. You're back to fantasy.
Oh, these are all
now.
digital.
These are all You're back to fantasy now.
Okay, but these are all these are all coming to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna have Walking Dead, which is interesting because there's the real one. A free one called Sorcerer's Lair. That could be fun.
That one is fun. Sorcerer's Lair, I think, has been around since Pinball Effects 1. And it's a table that they remastered for Pinball Effects 3.
It's like the one that comes with Windows, a space one. What was
Oh, yeah.
that was
Space
a fun
Cadet.
game. Space Cadet was fun. I liked that game. I got far one time in that.
I actually downloaded once the other two tables that were supposed to go with that pack. If you bought all of them, pretty fun pinball.
So I wonder how often they can come out with old, like Williams packs, like I guess packs of 4, maybe a few times a year, or depending on how hard they're working on it.
I think it does. I mean, with their other packs, when Zen would get on like a roll with a theme or a license, they would usually put out, I want to say 2 or 3 packs a year, I think was what they were doing.
Nice.
So that's just me guessing. I don't know what their actual release schedule will be.
All right, so there you go. Pinball FX 3. They're plunking their quota down. They're ready to go. Okay, we have the Polymega back in the news with an official announcement and pre-orders live. Ian, as a reminder, the Polymega is a modular retro gaming system, modular with a base and other modular attachments you can get. Originally, it was the Retro Blocks. I saw an early working prototype of the CD base back at SoCal Retro Gaming Expo in January, February of 2017, and they've showed it at E3. There's been information about it. They claimed hybrid emulation. I think we discussed it briefly in the podcast one time.
Yeah, we did.
Hybrid emulation, which was going to be a combination of software emulation with FPGA running some of the background stuff, like I think ROM loading and like accessory things like that, but not actually for the running the games, so that running the systems. So we had an announcement and pre-orders come on about 5-6 days ago from when we're recording this, with the official launch trailer coming on September 4th. So about a week ago, actually. And there's been some buzz about it, both positive and negative. So we're going to try to cover what exactly this console purports to be and why certain people are upset about things they're learning about, and I guess our take on whether or not we think this is for us and whether or not we think this is something that the marketplace is going to want is the best way I can say this. So what do you get here? So you get for $250, you get the base unit that you need to run the modules. So the base unit is what I would be personally most excited about.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't exist widely. Now, there is something like the CD that comes out that's like a CD emulator system. So this will be the first one to wide market to be a CD-based unit to run disc retro systems. So PS1, Turbo CD / PC Engine CD, Sega CD. So that's a good part of the market, and they announced Sega CD as well.
Sega Saturn.
Excuse me, Sega Saturn as well. So that's a good chunk of the ones to get you on your retro CD disc playing ways. In PS1.
Yep, you said PS1.
PS1. So,
Saturn's a huge one. Saturn, there has been, that's basically unheard of. Saturn emulators
have always been shoddy or bad.
Yeah, shoddy or bad. Just, getting to the point now where there's, something that's, getting close to workable. And so the announcement of that on, the Polymega, provided they could do that, is, that should be hugely attractive to potential customers
if it's figured out.
And
but we're not sure if it will be figured out.
But we're getting there.
Yeah. So that's really the crux of this. The start of this conversation we'll constantly come back to is, what is this system providing? And in essence, what you have is an emulation box with a way to get the original, use the original physical media through the emulation. So it's not that dissimilar in theory from a Retron 5 or a Retro Freak, which is basically a Retron 5 plus Turbo / PC Engine HuCard games. So when you look at it on the surface, that's what this really looks like.
Yeah,
I don't think many people are denying that, because it's not like the people behind Polymega are going out and redesigning their own emulators. These are going to be off the shelf, getting licenses to off the shelf open source emulators, as far as I have seen. So in terms of that specific one that people are excited about, Sega Saturn, the reason that people are excited about it is because there hasn't been a great Saturn emulator until now. So unless the team comes out and says, we are designing from the ground up our own FPGA, and we'll get into that, or our own Sega Saturn emulator, to me it's not a huge deal on the surface, unless they're really coming in with something that's already not there. Is it an emulator that I can't currently get? If not, well, what's the huge deal to me at that point? Besides putting it in a nice box with the rest of it, which, like I said, there is an appeal there, because we always talk about, how are you going to be playing these games in the physical real version in the future? And I don't know if 20 years from now people want to find a crusty old PS1 that still works. And find a good way to hook it up to an HDMI cable, or the VR cable, or hologram cable 20 years from now. So this is a
hologram cable adapter.
So for me, there is a market there for these CD-based systems. $250. Now we're sort of, I think, stretching, the appeal out, and you're really then defining a more niche market for this console.
Yes.
Because $250 isn't the casual retro market anymore. That's sub $100. When you look at
$150 for something like that, I think would even be fine to capture a good number of people. I mean, the Retron 5 actually sold. I mean, despite what people think of it now, Retron 5 sold really well in that $150 price range.
Oh, sure.
So I don't think I don't think things need to be under 100, especially if it's going to offer CD based. But I think $250 is outside that realm. I think for something like that to sell well, it would need to be, a lot of that stuff still ends up kind of being almost impulse purchasing, or at the moment purchasing.
Well, the whole point is that, like, when you have all the HD, NES, and Super Nintendo, and I think Genesis ones you have now, you can get reliable ones for under $50.
Yeah,
like you can just get them. I'll get the Genesis one. Once you get to the $250, once you get to the price of a modern console, now I think the market becomes more limited.
Sure. Also, people would look at it and possibly think, oh well, I'm paying that for all the paying that for the the expansion opportunities, et cetera, and I'm not going to use any of that, so I'm going to go find something else.
Or then you have to calculate out how many expansion ones will I want, what's the price of those. So the expansion modules right now, they're offering 4 at the start, and they are $60 each. So they have one, the power, that they're named differently, the power element module kit, which is, let's see, that's the, I guess, NES/Famicom one. And each module has obviously the input port for the controllers as well as for the cartridge itself or media itself. So you have that one. You have one, the Mega one, which will get you Mega Drive/Genesis and 32X. You have the Super one, which has Super Famicom and Super Nintendo, obviously. And then you get the Turbo one, which is the one that excites me the most, obviously, because we don't have, besides the Retro Freak, we don't have something that is easy to play these in a modern way, and that is Turbo / the preferable PC Engine moniker.
Sweet.
So you have that. So what are you looking at here? So they're offering you can buy it for $250. If you're going to buy all 4 of these by themselves, it'd be $240. Pat math, both together, that'd be what was that? $490. Is that what that is? $490. But if you get the bundle right now on the website, excuse me, $520. My Pat math is off. $520. If you order it early, it's $460 if you pre-order now. By the way, this stuff is supposed to ship on a date of April 1st, which I'm not sure what significance that has, but that's the date that they have that they're going to be released. April 1st, 2019. Personally, if I was doing the marketing and PR, I would not have chosen April 1st as a release date.
No.
I would have said, hey, well, wait till the 2nd or 3rd. Just because.
Especially not for a new
system
console.
Not in terms of this marketplace and its history with the VCS and the Chameleon. I would not have chosen April 1st. That's just me. But okay, most people won't care. So once you get into how many people are going to be spending $520 if it's after this pre-order part, now I think you're extremely limited in terms of what's out there. And we get into the other conversation that I've spoken about with you over the past year about is that, is this concept too far removed from the initial point of interest when the Retron 5 came out? For example, that was what, 3 years ago?
Yeah, thereabouts.
3, 4. It was a while ago.
Yeah.
Since in the past few years, we've had the Retron 5. We've had the Retro Freak, which is the Retron 5 Plus Turbo. We've had all the Analog NT and the Mini NT and the Super NT, which are FPGA, and so those are more accurate than emulation, and those are the same sort of market where you're going to spend hundreds of dollars, but this will be the best experience you can get modern-wise for Nintendo and Super.
And then on the other end, Hyperkin did the, they've got the Retron 77, the Retron HD, which is just the one-off, no emulation, well, no emulation based. It's just HD one. Basically, there's no save states and stuff like that. So no hard drive. It's not doing the ROM ripping or anything. And then there's the Super Retron HD, and like the Retron HD is
the NES HD.
Yeah. So multiple companies have those. So basically, so a lot of companies have those. So now you can take the Retron 5, what made the Retron 5 so appealing to people, and now they've parted that out. They've broken that down. I mean, a Retron HD, and I'm sure the comparable units from other companies, it's $40.
The guts on these are the same, and then multiple companies put them out.
$40. I mean,
I've seen it cheap. I've seen the NES version with the Zapper for like $30 with 2 controllers. It's like, well, that's an impulse buy. That's like a no-brainer.
But that's what I'm saying. You know, a lot of people don't need all that stuff. You shouldn't have to. The main appeal of the retro blocks, or the Polymega. Yeah.
Retro Blocks, by the way, they had to abandon the name because of, I think, a trademark of Blocks, BLOX, so they had to change it.
The neat appeal of kind of picking and choosing the units you wanted, now you can do that without this base unit with pieces that are roughly the size of these attachments. And now...
Yeah, these modern HD little systems are small. They're not that big.
Right, they're very tiny.
So you're not saving space. You're not necessarily saving money. It's not really the convenience necessarily. So you have to plug in new cables, but you can probably just you're really buying.
And now you're not getting accuracy anymore because, well, we're going to get there.
Yeah. So what they're hoping is that you buy into this ecosystem of products, where once you buy the original attachment for $250, now we have these 4 coming available, and then maybe down the line we'll develop more, like, you know, we'll do an Atari one or Neo Geo one, or you're buying into this whole platform, so to speak, which we haven't seen before. We've seen one-off products like the Retron 5 that people like, people don't like. I reviewed it when it came out. I liked it at the time. Other people had problems with it. I had a dead-on-arrival unit. That said, it got the job done for mostly what I needed at the time. So for this, though, you're looking at taking that concept, but in a higher quality, I guess, pastiche, with a better user interface and the ability to do other things. By the way, they took away the ability to stream on Twitch from it, which I thought was interesting that they did that. But that's really what you're looking at. In terms of the marketing, when you look at these pre-order videos, Indiegogo, Kickstarters, you have to understand that anyone can do a flashy video. Anyone. It could be any product. It's all CG renders. It looks smooth. It looks slick. It's marketing. So that's good and bad. It's good that it's showing you the concept. It's a concept, but that may not be the final experience or product you're getting. So you have to be careful. You can't. It's especially when you have a company that they don't have a history of past products, that to say like, oh well, we had this come out, so we know what we're doing. So I caution people to be careful about this. In terms of the marketing, I'm not disturbed by it. I'm just sort of disappointed that they would tout 30 compatible systems on their website when it's really not 30 systems, because they're splitting out like PlayStation, PlayStation PAL, PlayStation Japan, Saturn, Saturn PAL, Saturn Japan. No one in the retro gaming community actually looks at these as separate systems spread out across regions. No one says like, well, the Super Famicom is different than the Super Nintendo. It's like, well, not really. They're the same. You know, they're the same. So when you actually break down how many systems that they're offering through all the modules, it's really about, what do you have, like about 11, 12 at most, it looks like. Oh, Neo Geo CD is one that we forgot to mention.
Oh, yeah.
That'll be supported as well with that base unit. So that's not the poo-poo marketing, but again, know what you're buying when you're looking at this and being studious about what's there. So now, Ian, do we want to talk about the whole semi-controversy? Why can't one of these get announced and everyone's like, oh, this is going to be cool? And now there's like people arguing about the specs and things like that. So why are people kind of concerned now about this product?
Well, I mean, one of the things that I think caused some concern is simply, basically, it was touted as being one thing, and then on the day that the pre-orders started, there were suddenly some changes. Basically, the thing was always touted as being this hybrid emulation of some sort of FPGA and emulation combo. You know, there was supposed to be accuracy to how the games ran on the console. They talked about the Twitch integration, this, that, and the next thing. When pre-orders went up, I believe that was also the same day, or it was a day or two before, that they tried to do an info dump that basically pertained to the Twitch service being removed. FPGA is out from the main unit, and it's only going to be included on a case-by-case basis for certain modules, and that's only going to be used for, basically, as far as they can tell, controller input-output. Basically, it's only going to be there for compatibility of controllers and things.
Is that also nature. They announced the software architecture was changing to Intel-based?
Yeah, software architecture is changing. If I believe that's correct.
Or that's what they announced. They announced the final specs.
Yeah, they announced the final specs. Basically, nothing is as it was
for the 2 years that they were talking about this.
Yeah.
And so people were sort of blindsided by it.
Exactly.
And if people really want, the lowest latency, the most accurate experience, then you'd want the FPGA, obviously. But that's hard to get on all. They don't exist for all of these yet. FPGAs don't exist for all of these. So that's when they always said hybrid emulation. I was always in my head scratching my head because, well, if it's software emulation that you're really doing to play the games, then what's the advantage? But I guess in terms of offloading some of the workhorsing via FPGA to other parts of the console, then I guess you would get closer somehow. I personally never bought that marketing message of hybrid emulation. To me, that's not really a thing. at least in my eyes.
I think I called it bullshit on when we talked about it.
Directly bullshit.
Yeah.
You use that subtle term.
Yeah, I think I was, subtle about
So
that.
to me, if I never bought it, or bought into that concept. To me, it's not a big deal. But to those that was a main sticking point of having FPGA in some form, and now you're taking it away, I can see how some potential people that would pre-order it could be bothered by it. Absolutely.
Right. I'm trying to find the quote here. It was pretty bad. Basically, they were trying to play it off in one of the chats, I believe it was on Facebook, where they stated that hardware accuracy was snobby and not important and only something very few people were looking for.
Well, no. A lot of people were looking forward to that. That was the main marketing message.
Right. Otherwise, you were just getting a Retron 5. That's why
you were getting probably a better made Retron 5 box emulation machine. Like that was what you were getting.
Right.
So I don't understand that.
And 5 included games with each module.
Oh, they're going to license 5 games for each module?
Yeah, there's supposed to be 5 games for each module.
You do get the one controller with each. And they are doing their own controllers, and I guess they look okay. There's a 6-button Genesis one. They have an NES one with 2 buttons. They have the one that comes with the base unit, which is like just your run-of-the-mill, modern D-pad, Xbox One looking, pad with 2 thumb joysticks and triggers. Like that's common. I actually like the turbo looking controller. I think it looks nice. That actually could be a nice replacement at only $25. However, Ian, it's a 6-button turbo controller. They decided to put the select and run buttons on the top of the controller instead of the bottom, and you actually use that button on those buttons on some games. And they put the turbo toggles on the bottom. I just don't understand that. Now, when you go to 6-button mode, I think the select and start become 2 of the buttons, so I guess that takes care of that. But still, you want the real feel of that original controller there. So that's I'm actually more interested in that right now, is that controller.
They were they got caught using and this is always such a bad thing. And
they admitted to this.
Yeah, well, they admitted once they got caught.
Oh, okay. I was going to give the benefit of the doubt, but okay.
No, they admitted once they got caught. They got caught using emulator footage in their launch trailer.
Arcade footage.
Yeah, well, emulated arcade footage in their launch trailer for Sega Rally. They used it was captured from the Model 2 using the Model 2 emulator. It was the arcade footage from it, and they snuck it in. And it was a fairly brief clip, if I recall, and the viewers discovered it almost immediately. They were like, "That's arcade footage," and there's the interaction right here. I believe that this is Twitter. I was considering pre-order, but you guys have yet to address the usage of Model 2 emulation footage for promoting the Sega Saturn compatibility.
Oh, man.
After the whole Coleco Chameleon fraud, I'd like some sort of reassurance before I put any money on this console. Will we get an explanation? And Polymega replied, "Feel like we've explained this about 20 times. That's not how you come at it."
That's not good PR. I think these companies, the problem with
you can just put a link there. Like, that's fine. Like, addressed here.
We understand your concern. It's addressed here.
But there was an accidental use of an old video not from Saturn in the trailer. Why people don't say anything about the Panzer Dragoon footage immediately afterwards is kind of beyond me. Because you need to talk about the part you screwed up. Like, you can't deflect. And then there was another somewhere else on the Atari Age message board.
You know what, Atari Age? It's been a while. You're like a good friend. Come back into the life.
There's another point where Polymega addresses it and says something like, "Oh, they accidentally grabbed the footage from the wrong folder," or it's just
the people that putting together the marketing video.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm not even gonna. If that's the case, you know what? Okay, that could be an honest mistake, but that just underscores the precarious nature of the Sega Saturn emulation going into this. To me, Because if they say, oh, it's going to have Saturn emulation, and people are expecting 100% compatible smooth emulation like you would get on a Super Nintendo or PC Engine emulator or NES, you probably aren't going to get it unless the people working on that Saturn emulator, fix it. Because if it's an emulation box, they're only as good as the emulators that can be thrown into that box if they're not doing it themselves. And I think that's the larger point here when it comes to that. It's like, yeah, it's exciting, but what's the difference between loading up a Sega Saturn emulator and putting the disc in my drive and playing it? You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to get a different experience. It's just the housing's different at that point. We're
still trying to figure out what amazing Sega Saturn emulator they're using.
Well, that's the thing. There's probably one of the two that you actually can use out there. I haven't been up my Saturn emulation in a long time, because all I know is back in the early 2000s trying to do it didn't exist. It didn't exist well from what I remember. So that's something to just be wary of. Yeah, when you get the other ones, Sega CD should be fine, and PC Engine CD and Neo Geo CD, okay. But if people are getting excited about Saturn, they're getting excited because right now they can't do it properly. So unless Polymega says we are solving that problem, maybe you should hedge your bets a little bit on it, just a little bit at least.
Right, adding it in a less than perfect form just keeps you where you're at. A less than perfect form on a console that you're hooking up to your TV is, I don't know, the same as doing it on your laptop and plugging it in. Oh, and here was I was looking for this earlier. This was, this is the screen grab. This is their comment on, I think it's Facebook, that really kills the accuracy thing that they were initially, I think, trying to go for, people were excited about. Sorry guys, you'll also notice that Twitch is out for now for the same reason as explained in the FAQ. In short, you/we can't have it all, and the decision we made was to provide more game/system compatibility, e.g. Saturn, and less emphasis on the snobby ultimate hardware accuracy unless it was actually essential for the system in question. Example, Famicom FDS. We think it's a better move in the long run for the system and gives everyone more options. When you say that without anyone coming at you, you're trying to condition...
You're conditioning the market.
You're conditioning the market to think that that's better. And that sounds... That's... When you come off like that you're already approaching it in the defensive.
Yeah, and here's the thing. The snobby market is your market when it's $250 for the base unit. Like that is. It's the analog NT market who want that higher quality experience. They want the bells and whistles.
Right.
They're not going to settle.
Because if they weren't a snobbier market, they would be fine with the Retron 5, which already exists.
Or the other multitudes of several clone HD consoles.
Right.
Or just grab, they now have coming out all the HD up converting cables for the original system. So there's several different ways to play these games in a modern way now. So if you have to offer something different if you're going to have a premium markup. If it's going to become $60 per system, which is basically what it is, $60 per system, and that's the highest price point we've ever seen for that, being $60 per system. In essence, you have to provide the bells and whistles and get us excited in a different way. Now, the pre-orders are on their website, and they did not do an Indiegogo. Kickstarter, we know you have to have a working prototype, and maybe they felt they couldn't because you have to have a working prototype for all the different modules. I don't know. But they went and they put together on their page this campaign. The rewards they have, I would call not suspect, but strange. Like at 500,000, a different interface, light skin to put on. I don't understand why that would be not just included to be able to replace your skin. I understand you have to have some goals for people to shoot for, but you have some weird ones. So at $1 million, you get the Famicom module set. The Japanese Nintendo Famicom will receive a worldwide FPGA module release on Polymega. So I believe I saw that they wanted the FPGA for the disk system stuff.
Yeah.
That's why they wanted that. So does that mean at the 1 million you'll have enough money to then, I guess, research and develop it? That's what I'm guessing. Or it'll be enough interest in that. It's surprising that would be its own separate module. Does that mean, wait a minute, does that mean the Famicom one won't be compatible with the NES one? Is that what that one means? I have to look into that.
I don't know. I thought you said the NES one said NES/Famicom.
I might have been wrong on that. I have to go back and look now while we're doing it. Here's the one that was to me most strange at 1.25 million. Hey, Ian, guess at 1.25 million what you can do. You'll be able to play audio CDs and watch DVD movies on your Polymega. That's not going to be included as a base feature. Shouldn't there be any open source off the shelf DVD and CD readers you could put into your basically your computer. This is a computer, and in order to read that to me is such a weird thing to see. Like, that is a bonus that people actually. First of all, if you want to be able to play DVDs, that's fine. But that's a 20-year-old technology.
Yeah.
CD's a 30-year-old technology that any computer you buy will have built in, either something built in or something you can easily download to play those. That to me is strange to see that. That's almost like we needed a filler space for our goals there, at least to me. At 1.5 million, the NEC PCFX CD system, I guess, will be well, that'll be playable as a post-launch update. So they'll put that in, I guess, for the base unit. Okay, that's fine. I don't know if there's an emulator out there that already does it. If there is, they should have just included it. I don't know. And then at 2 million, they're developing the 2600/7800 module. Sorry, Ian, no 5200. No one cares still. So they'll do that. So those are your ones. So, but those are the strangest one, because when you're talking about just software, it's not like you have to develop that CD and DVD watching software. It's just it's just I don't know.
Well, you might have to work it in there somehow, but still. What was my question going to be? Shit. There was something about isn't there like a Philips CDI tier and something like that?
I didn't see it on this page.
Fairly certain there is, or maybe there's not. My question.
I didn't see a 3DO or CDI tier on here. But you would think that in theory, if it's a disc based, you can just add that later. You can download it.
Yeah, I thought they were pointing it out on the Atari Age platform, but I guess I lost track of that thread.
There's a lot going on there. Now, in terms of interest for a console like this at 250, we spoke about how you're already narrowing down the interest at 250 to begin with. Plus, then because you really think about at that point who's going to be spending $400 once you add in the modules that they want. So right now, this has been live for a couple days, right? They had problems at first, but a few days it's been live. They are at $360,000. And you're like, which seems impressive. But when you divide out the per person how much money they're probably spending, so the base is 250. So the most amount of people that could be in for it right now, because some people probably got the bundle at whatever that was, what was the bundle? 460. Some people probably got that bundle at 460. They probably spent a couple hundred more. If you divide 360,000 by 250, pat math, 360,000 divided by 250, it's 1,440 orders at most for the base unit. I'm not going to say more people aren't going to pre-order. They have a goal of $500,000, but they'll probably get close to that 500,000 maybe. But it's still not a huge amount of people to get 2,000 people buying your hardware. That's not, in the grand scheme of things, that's not like a huge audience, you would say.
No,
for these aftermarket products, because then at that point you have less and less people that are buying each individual module. So it's like, how do you keep the cost down? Because the amount of money for R&D for one system is one thing, but now all these different modules you have to do the tooling for and development and production, and your production prices just skyrocket at that point when you have this whole line of what basically are add-on accessory units.
So apparently there are some hidden tiers.
Tiers.
Kevtris says, I don't know how to access it. Check the HTML for a list of the hidden reward
tiers. Damn, Kevtris.
they go up to level 20.
So beyond 2 million?
Yeah, it says, don't forget, so check the HTML for a list of the hidden reward tiers. They go up to level 20. Anyways, so...
Well, they're not hitting level 20.
Well, anyways, I can't... I wish I could see the rest of them. I'm not sure how to find it. There are some that they mentioned. Level 10 is an advanced social network for 3.25 million.
Okay.
Level 20 is N64 for a cool 8 million.
They probably just develop that from scratch, maybe, or do an FPGA. I don't know.
3DO is level 19 for $7 million.
Woo! That 3DO, the people claim for the 3DO.
And yeah, Philips CDI is like, I think, $5 million.
All right. Well, it's not official yet. It's hidden in the HTML. It's not official release. That's maybe just, you know, that's allegedly what it is, according to the HTML from Kevtris. So any, I guess, final thoughts on this? This is what I'm going to say, is that I'm not telling you how to spend your money. I'm not. I personally would wait until this is released to see what's there and what the reviews are before I put my money in for something that is basically a new company providing something that's, you know, a new device. They don't have a track record I can go off of, and you know there was questions before. Let's see this come out, and once it comes out, yeah, maybe put down. Maybe the price drops. Maybe I say, hey, I'll get that turbo add-on, because that's something I could use for an HDMI out and could be nice. So that's what I'm going to say there. The other thing that is interesting about the situation, though, is that they have at least one investor that's put a lot of money into the development of this, which has allowed, I guess, this to even get to this point, which is why they haven't done an official Kickstarter. So investors have to recoup money at some point. If not, they might get angry, and then things behind the scenes might happen, which could get messy. That's a whole other conversation that I don't want, because I don't know how much, I don't know how their plans are in terms of the investment versus return. I have no idea, so I can't speak to that with any authority. But if there are investors that have put in a lot of money, which they probably have, that could affect how these products come out, or if they do it all at some point. Because if say they don't reach the goal, and say they say, okay, we have to go back to the investor for more money, maybe the investor says, no, I'm going to cut my losses and get out. I mean, that's always a potential for situations like this. You know, that it is. Or I'm going to take over, you know, at this point, depending on how much, you know, stake they have in it. So that's just I guess a wild card in situations like this.
Ooh. Oh, I think I figured out how to check this list.
Trying to button this up, Ian. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm not good at this. I'd have to.
You're actually scrolling through the HTML?
Yeah.
That's not the concern to me. I did see something about what if they don't reach $500,000. I think their answer was, I can find it. It said something to the effect that we would investigate why we didn't reach the goal if they didn't reach the 500,000 goal.
So that to me sounds like you're gonna go outside and play someone like an accordion for the extra money.
I have no idea. So that's something.
That sounds almost intimidating.
So I don't know. I honestly don't know what happens if they don't reach their $500,000 goal. Is that in the FAQ? What happens if the initial goal is not met? Here it is. Oh, they will refund all pre-orders and halt additional sales until we can assess a reason. Okay. If the $500,000 initial goal is not met within 35 days, we will immediately refund all pre-orders, good, and halt additional sales of Polymega, trademarked, until we can assess a reason for the lack of interest in the pre-order campaign and attempt to correct it. Does that mean then it's just gone? Like the whole thing is gone? That doesn't say like we're going to come back and redo it. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Is this an all or nothing Kickstarter in essence on the website? Is that what that means? I think that's what that means.
Also, someone made a good point that it's supposed to ship in 7 months, which is a month after you can stop doing chargebacks. So be careful.
Well, they said they're going to refund immediately.
Oh,
but
okay.
you're saying if it's hit and it still doesn't come out, you can't do a chargeback after 6 months?
That's just something I saw someone say, so that's just something to keep in mind.
Okay.
Be careful. You're not, as much as people, worry about stuff on Kickstarter and Indiegogo and all that, there's some at least
limited accountability.
Yeah, limited accountability with where your money is.
With Kickstarter, at least.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. There you have it. So I wish the folks at Polymega luck in getting this to their goal, but there are some questions I think that people are asking that are the right questions, and especially like I said, when you have a brand new company that's trying to get this to market, these are reasonable questions.
ColecoVision module.
Is that hidden in there?
That would be level 10.
Okay, and that's a good way to end it. These days, Ian, you can get practically everything on demand, just like our podcast. We're recording it on demand this morning, but you can listen whenever you want, when it's convenient for you. You know what's also convenient, Ian?
Stamps.com.
That's right, Stamps.com. With Stamps.com, you can access all the amazing services of your post office right from your desk 24 hours a day, 7 days a week when it's convenient for you. You buy and print official U.S. postage for any letter, any type of package using your own computer and printer, and the mail carrier can pick it up. You just click, you print, and you mail. You're done then. Couldn't be easier. I've sent plenty of package with Stamps.com. DVDs, CU Podcast, wristbands. In the past, I've done my grab bag of NES games and consoles, Sega CD systems. All that stuff can be sent with Stamps.com. Even a certain NES guidebook can be sent with Stamps.com. Right now, special offer. Right now, using code CU Podcast. This offer is up to $55 in free postage, a digital scale, and a 4-week trial. Go to Stamps.com right now. Click on the radio microphone at the top of the homepage and click it. Type in CU Podcast. That's right. Stamps.com. Enter code CU Podcast. Ian, this is an interesting topic that I don't know if we got to be careful about this, but this exists. This is a major tech website with is it just an advertisement? Here, it's like a half advertisement, half article for a questionable retro gaming product.
Yeah, it's strange to me to see Engadget promoting a bootleg NES,
a pirated NES Classic Edition.
Yeah,
that has games inside, and when you look,
these are the okay. It's a 600 classic game in one $50. Bootleg NES Classic. These are the ones that people try to sell me at the store, and I go, no, I can't take this. No, this is not official.
And you know why also you can't take it, Ian? Because those 600 preloaded games, based on classics like Super Mario Brothers, Pac-Man, and Tetris,
including remakes of. No, they're not remakes. They're just.
They are unlicensed games. This is a pirated machine. This is the modern version of what you used to see in the mall on the kiosk before Nintendo put them out of business.
The cartridge in the slammed 90s. Into the bottom of the cheap like N64 knockoff controller.
This is that version of that.
Yes.
For a new generation. It's just now in an NES Classic with a crappy HDMI out, which is a lot of times an AV composite to HDMI out, by the way, on a lot of these crappy ass ones.
Sometimes you don't even get the HDMI. I've seen
okay,
ones.
Well, let's assume
this one does. This one does.
This console's blocky design and color scheme is reminiscent of the NES. Yes, because it's the NES Classic Edition molds and is small and lightweight enough to take with you on the go. All you need to do is connect it via HDMI. You can enjoy the 600 preloaded games, including remakes. Yep. Remakes? Really?
That's what
of classics like Bomberman, Galaga, Ninja Gaiden, and more. Plus, it comes with 2 controllers so you can challenge your friends. If you want to relive this gaming glory days, grab this retro entertainment console today for $50, down from its normal price of $300.
Oh wow! Whoa! Normal price of $300. These are sure to sell out quick.
And when you go to the page via this deals subsidiary of Engadget, you see a marketing picture of games with screenshots that are definitely not remakes of Dr. Mario, of River City Ransom, of Muscle, of Legend of Kage, and games of that nature, of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Super Spike V-Ball. Super Spike V-Ball.
This is done by this article is by Stack Commerce. So it appears to be some sort of ad.
It's an ad deal, but it's an article on here.
But it's an article done by,
All right. There's a lot of problems here in Engadget editorial team. You cannot allow stuff on your website like this. You can't allow allegedly illegal hardware with when you look at it, you see the 501 menu picture that has Adventure Island 2, 3, and 4, Chippendale, Contra Force. It's literally a multi-cart menu screen on here.
Yeah.
When you boot this fucker up.
Wow. Yeah, I gotta scan over what Stack Commerce is throwing up on your page here.
At least it says Engadget is teaming up with Stack Social, to bring you deals on the latest gadgets, tech, toys, apps, and tutorials. This post does not constitute editorial endorsement, and we earn a portion of all sales. All right. It's not an endorsement that you think this is a good product, but you are willing to get a portion of the sales from this. So you are at least complicit in advertising this. You have to know that this is on your site. If you have any questions about the products you see here or previous purchases, please contact Stack Commerce support here. So Stack Commerce comes to Engadget. They say, hey, we got this great item for sale. We'll give you a portion of the proceeds. And Engadget's like, okay, we'll do it. You got to be a little better than that, Engadget. Engadget, you are an trusted website for like tech and electronic news and reviews.
Yeah.
You are come on, Engadget. Come on, baby. Come on. You got to do a little bit better here. A little bit at least. And looking at what products going up on here that you're a part of here. All right. Anything else to add there?
No.
It's a little disappointing, I think.
Yeah, it's just
Engadget's an old, they're one of the older sort of tech websites out there, right?
Slipping on that one.
So they're slipping a bit. All right, we have a Kickstarter, Ian. No, it's not the Polymega. It is Super Combat Fighter. The fighting game of your nostalgic dreams, digitized actors, tons of content, and more wrapped up in one bloody awesome package. All right, so what is this game? This is a throwback game to the 90s, Ian. Stuff like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter the movie, the game, where you have digitized actors. I thought I turned the volume down. And it's like a Mortal Kombat-esque one-on-one fighting game. Where you have like the low-res graphics. You have sort of the not necessarily the smoothest of animation,
right?
Where it's like, oh, you have like a few frames on the jump kick, but that's by design, though, right? Lots of blood. You got your big uppercut. I think it's a cute-looking game. I think, and when you looked at these games in the 90s, there was that awful one that came out in the PC with that weird. Shaped box. What was that one that was terrible? It also was on the 3DO and CDI. You know what I mean? It looks like a game like that, but this is meant to be sort of a cheesy, nostalgic sort of throwback to it. There's combos. I have to believe there's finishers. There's one shot of the guy getting uppercutted off the bridge and he's falling just like in Mortal Kombat
like Johnny Cage.
Yeah, he's Johnny Cage-esque, but like a goofier version of it. There's like ninja-looking guys. So the goal here is to get 35,000, which is not unreasonable to design a game like this at all. They're at 7850 with 31 days to go. So obviously there's already dev that's gone into this, and the game will cost you. What will the game cost you? Ass kicker at $20. You get a digital copy of the game as an ass kicker at $20. $35. You get a mini strategy guide plus that. Then it goes up from there. Product keys, and then you get to the the really fun ones. You get the Console Wars version at $85. You get a non-functional Red Rage SNES card of the game. Okay, very limited. And then you get into like the ones where it's just pie in the sky, where not pie in the sky, but okay, you want to be in the game. Well, you get your face in the game as a bloody head for $100. There you go. Then $150. And then you can be the headless warrior. You can be a statue in the game. I remember like in Mortal Kombat, there's statues of some of the older fighters in the backgrounds. You can do that for $150. Okay, that's cute. A monument in the game for $250. And then you can get the big ones. The big ones are if you want to be a fighter in the game, you can do that. You can do that for $5,000. If you want to, I guess you got to fly out, and then they'll put you in front of a green screen and do a capture. Can I ask the team can I do this by myself? Set up a green screen if it's acceptable? Do I have to fly out to North Carolina for that? I guess you want to make sure all the moves get put in. Just send me a list of the moves. I can try to do that. There's also, for $3,500, you can get a Kickstarter-only Polycade arcade cabinet with this installed, Super Combat Fighter, and several other fighting games installed. So, you might say, oh, it's a lot of money. Well, there's money going towards the dev as well.
Well, yeah, that's obviously the point.
Big head mode at $40,000. 3 new stages at $45,000. 3 new additional fighters at $55,000. And they have other hidden goals. I would say you better hit that $55,000 goal because right now there's only 7 fighters in the default game. What's the original Mortal Kombat?
Combat was 7.
So I can see that. But in this day and age, you probably want a little more variety
Sure.
in your game. Besides just, well, who's going to be insane enough to spend all that money to put themselves in the game to get an Ian fighter? How about we fundraise to get Ian as a fighter?
Jesus. I think it looks interesting.
Cheat codes, Easter eggs. They're going to have a toasty thing.
It looks neat. I always thought the graphical style in games like, Mortal Kombat, Kasumi Ninja on the Jaguar.
Is that the one? Was it Kasumi Ninja? Was that the one that came out also on the PC?
I don't think so. There was a handful of these games. Kasumi Ninja, I know specifically, is the Jaguar one. I think that one was only Jaguar. I always thought the graphical style was neat, and I always wondered why, for a throwback, people never went back and tried to do this again. Because I'm not saying it's easy, certainly not, but if you don't want to do 3D modeling or something like that, and you're doing something two-dimensional and you want a very specific look for a style and time, I've always felt that this would be a viable option. So it's neat to see someone doing it again.
And plus, you could do wacky stuff like put your friends in, things like that. Why not?
And it seems like it'd be a really fun way to develop a game.
And it makes the cheese so apparent that this is what this is. Like Mortal Kombat was always cheesy. Yeah, it was also very cheesy.
Right.
In the same time. It was like it was gory, but it's ridiculous. I mean, hell, they started putting animalities and babalities and friendships in the game. So I guess it's easier in that terms of knowing what your audience is. But not necessarily that this is struggling because many people don't know about this, but I don't know. Is there a big market for digitized fighting games anymore? Or was it such a throwback to 25 years ago that might people be like, oh well, that's cute, but why are we doing this anymore?
I don't know. I feel like there's a market for anything that's fun and decent. It's just a matter of how they promote it.
That's how they promote it. Yeah. There's a giant mode where like the guys are the whole screen, like they're throwing punches at each other.
Oh yeah, I saw
that.
Like,
so I guess to digitize you can do other things like that. They're introducing Ernie Reyes Jr. is going to be in the game. There you go.
Oh yes, all right.
Ninja Turtles and Surf Ninjas lore.
I love Ernie Reyes Jr. What did I see him in recently?
He's been showing up.
It was good to see him. Whatever I saw him.
Wasn't he in that short film, the Nathan Drake short film?
Oh, that's what he was.
He was in that.
Yeah,
he was the guy. And
I was so happy to see him.
Yep. He shows up. He's like, ah, ha, ha.
Yep.
And he beats him up. That was great. Lots of blood, different modes, 10 stages, 7 fighters. And the cool thing about this is I think part of the charm would be discovering some of the secret stuff in this. Maybe he throws in a secret fighter.
Well, when I talk about Mortal Kombat, it's never really the game that I liked.
The gameplay is standard and average. Let's be honest.
Some like Mortal Kombat X was actually pretty fun in the gameplay department, but it's for me it required a lot of refining for me to care a lot to really get into the fighting of it. The fighting was an acceptable spoon for serving you all that delicious weird secrets and rumors and
the fatalities and stuff like that. That was really what it was.
Mortal Kombat, especially 2, was just this magnificent vessel for high school rumor and
toasty stuff. Oh, reptile.
And selling of printed off strategy guides and finding all that weird shit, like
Noob Saibot in the first one, right?
Going through all the nonsense to get the special battles with the fun. The treasure hunt was always the fun of Mortal Kombat.
Seeing someone do the friendship for the first time, like what?
Yeah,
Johnny Cage is signing an autograph. That's funny.
I think if they loaded up with that sort of stuff, then they could definitely have a pretty fun time.
I would think that, because to do a serious style game that's digitized just has never worked when it's like totally serious.
Oh no, of course
it just hasn't. It just hasn't. I wish I remembered the PC one with the weird box that's like angled at the bottom. Someone's gonna tell me that. It was like they did one that was like a first person one. That's one like the first person you see.
Yeah, that I remember. Yeah,
that was on the PC. That's one I was referencing there. But all right, well there, check it out on Kickstarter. Super Combat Fighter, and maybe they'll put me and Ian in as a decapitated head at least for helping.
Oh jeez.
All right, Ian. Spider-Man.
Spooter
on PS4.
Yep. So
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man came out this past week and has been getting fantastic reviews, rave reviews.
Yeah, which is not shocking.
Nope, not surprised. Insomniac has always been known to do solid work. It's an exclusive for PS4, so it was hyped, as exclusives for systems generally are. Spider-Man hasn't seen a non-movie entry game since the PlayStation 1, I think.
Really?
As far as, well, no, that's a lie. Holy shit, that's a lie. Never mind. There's definitely been others. But this is the first, like, super big one.
This is the one that...
the Web of Shadows. There was the 1099, so I'm way off.
Yeah, that one with the split different universes come out a few years ago.
Yeah, okay. They did. 1099. That was Spider-Man Dimensions.
Dimensions.
So, yeah, scratch that. I'm an idiot.
Ian's an idiot. People are excited about this. This has been in development. I mean, we saw trailers just like 2 years ago. It's been a while.
Right.
It's been a while.
So I almost picked it up yesterday. I wanted some Switch games I wanted instead, and they had one copy left, it turned out, and the guy ahead of me bought it anyway. So this
is a gigantic
exclusive
for PS4.
Yeah, my buddy I was reading the other day, he went out in Japan and he was trying to find a copy for himself, and he couldn't find any in his neighborhood, and then he went downtown and couldn't find any. And so yeah, it's been selling out.
So it's been a success.
Yes,
it's almost like I saw one person say, well, it's a close thing you get to like a GTA Spider-Man. Well, there's a main story, you can do side quests and things like that. Swing around, have fun.
That's basically all I want it for, is to go swinging around.
And that's always been the appeal of Spider-Man, because flying's like, yeah, you're flying. It's the physics and the fun of swinging.
Right.
Because you can imagine doing that yourself. You kind of can, like a Tarzan swing, or getting the old, go to your action park and almost die on the rope swing. Like, you can do that, kind of. You can experience it. You can kind of imagine what that would feel like. It's possible. It's possible to web swing in some aspects. It's not really possible to fly, as far as I know. But you can web swing. That's what made Spider-Man interesting. It's kind of more grounded versus like Superman. Anyway, so turns out, Ian, there was an awkward Easter egg in the game.
So yeah, it's sad. There's an Easter egg in the new Spider-Man game on the PlayStation 4. It started earlier this year in May of 2018, and to Insomniac's credit, Insomniac Games was real nice to help play along with this.
It was a tweet saying, I need your help. I'm ready to propose my girlfriend. I want to do it in a big way. Is there a way you can put an Easter egg of, Madison, will you marry me? And we're in the game. And then they're like, okay, yeah, we like love.
Yep. So this gentleman, Tyler, wanted to propose to his girlfriend, Madison, and they said yes. And so they put Madison, will you marry me? Maddie, will you marry me? On one of the marquees on a movie theater in the game. And as you play the game, you can see the proposal
on the marquee.
Sadly, as the story goes, the girlfriend broke up with him.
This is with Tyler. Broke up a few weeks before it was released, the game.
Yep, broke up with him a few weeks before it was released, and had started dating his brother. Yeah. Yep. And apparently they had sent messages, and of course, things can always be a work, but they sent some messages, and they got some confirmation on that story apparently from the girlfriend, and Insomniac is looking to make it a little less. Insomniac's gonna try to make it a little less depressing. Said they're gonna reach out and do something, and I believe Tyler said he's going to.
He recommended doing it in remembrance of his grandmother who passed away from cancer. It helped ignite his passion. Grandma gave him his first Spider-Man comic as well as a copy of Amazing Fantasy 15. That's a killer grandma right there. What an awesome grandma.
So
my grandma wouldn't buy me a Destro figure at the flea market when I was a kid.
So
why not, Grandma? Anyway.
So yeah, I mean, I guess that'll end up being the nice thing about it is, it'll end up being a memorial to Grandma Spider-Man.
Tyler, let me speak to you, buddy. You dodged a fucking bullet based upon the information we have here.
Yes.
And it looks like so the idea originally came from the girlfriend suggested to Tyler that she wanted a public proposal at a gaming convention.
Oh, right. Yeah, there's that public.
That's a red flag. That shows me that if someone wants to be on display like that in front of everyone, it's more about them and not you, buddy. That's a case of narcissism going on. You dodged a bullet, buddy. Especially when, she's now dating your brother. So that person is probably, I could say, borderline psychopath at that point.
Yeah, there was probably also some other warning signs. Also, maybe don't plan your proposal that far out in advance. Anyone.
Well, this was only 6 months.
Well,
which, that's a reason. If the girlfriend brought up the fact that she wanted to be proposed to a certain way, then she was open to it, apparently.
Sure.
But now it's come out where she said, well, we didn't get together. This is the update on the Kotaku article. The idea that she left him for his brother is actually in dispute. In a message to Kotaku, Maddie's girlfriend said that the new relationship with his brother began after the breakup. Well, that makes it that much better.
Right, yeah. I saw that, and I was like, they're not actually disputing it.
It's still disgusting.
It's just the timing.
And the brother's even more disgusting, because the brother should know that, what the fuck am I doing here? Not only am I dating my brother's ex, but he's been publicly humiliated and potentially in front of millions of people now. So Tyler, buddy, you dodged a bullet. Maybe pick him a little better next time, and don't worry about the world knowing about this, about your proposal in the future. So there you go, Tyler. Bounce back here. Honor your awesome sounding grandmother in the game. Insomniac, you're helping out there. Good for you. And that's all I'm going to say. That's disgusting. The whole situation is kind of weird.
Makes me feel icky.
It sounds like a Jerry Springer episode, but now in a PS4 game.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Gamers, aren't they great?
Ian, we have a strange seller of
the
week update. Robert Stack style update. All right. So about 24 to 36 hours after our last Scumbag Sell of the Week for the 5th anniversary was ReproGaming.com. So ReproGaming.com was selling counterfeit NES, Super Nintendo games, etc., as well as those one-off fan hacks and translations and things like that.
By the way, the fan hacks thing doesn't necessarily bother me. It's
a counterfeit.
Yeah.
So Repro Gaming, after they found out about our podcast segment, put up a message on their site saying we're going to take down all those counterfeit games, because they didn't call them counterfeit, but all those games that could be confused with the originals. And I think they said they were going to put them back up with maybe a different color shell.
I think they said with black shells so that they couldn't be.
So apparently someone gave them the message, or someone messaged them about it. And they also then posted something that they're doing a 10% off sale at some point coming back online. So then they changed their message twice. But so now when you go to reprogaming.com, it says the following. Many thanks to all our... They changed it again. Store permanently closed. Many thanks to all our customers for their messages of support and for having been with us in this adventure. So you're not Indiana Jones. You're selling counterfeit games, by the way. We truly wish you all the best. You're a Repro Gaming team. Okay, so I don't know what message you got from people saying you're selling counterfeit games. I'm not taking any blame, though, for putting a disreputable business out of business. If you're going to put it on us, put it on us. I'm not also taking any joy in this either, though.
No.
Because it's a shitty situation to begin with, because there might have been some investment behind this of money to get the stock from this, going online and sourcing through AliExpress. Probably that's where 99% of these games come from. Or maybe they're just a direct wholesaler. I don't know. Either way, you want to avoid these situations. You do.
Yeah. Just don't do it.
Just don't go into business selling this shit. Just don't. I'm not saying me and Ian are like the long arm of the retro gaming law here, but the reason we like to bring attention to this is to know that people out there are trying to make money off of this stuff, and they don't care what happens along the way in terms of the process. That's all. They don't care that they're breaking copyright law. They don't care that they're potentially hurting mom and pop business. They don't care that potentially people buying these games a few years from now are going to be buying counterfeits from a lot of money from mom and pop shops. Mom and pop shops get in trouble for buying games and merchandise that are counterfeit. There's a whole chain of bad things that could happen here.
Basically, for me, it's just don't help scam your fellow man.
Well, yes, don't scam your fellow man. Should that be a T-shirt?
Yeah, it probably should be.
It should be a T-shirt. So, and of course, out there, I'm sure there's tons of other counterfeit websites out there you can access. You can probably even find them on eBay. eBay doesn't care that this stuff is on there. They don't. So, there you go. There you have it, Ian. Is there any other lesson to be learned here?
Stay in school.
Stay in school.
Mm-hmm.
That's your lesson here?
Yeah.
Well, there is some business acumen in order to put together a website like that, even selling counterfeit goods. I guess there's a lot of hustling backwards that's going on, I think, in the retro gaming community.
Sure.
And I think this is one good example of that. Have that business acumen, go towards something that's not weird and deceptive and pirate-ish. Do it towards something good and noble. All right. Ian, you want to talk about the grease-proof Xbox One controller?
Yeah, I'd like to jump on this.
Jump on it real quick. We got a half hour left to recording.
Xbox or Microsoft Australia, Xbox Australia has announced a grease-proof Xbox One controller that features a special coating that is resistant to grease and oil, which is kind of crazy. They're teaming up with PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds PUBG to make it. It's going to be done in the colors associated with Battlegrounds, which I believe is like an orange and a white. It's basically like battle hardened. It's going to be scratch proof, and water resistant and grease resistant. So if you're eating your Cheetos or your pizza or your gyros or whatever it is, you're not going to get your slimy hands and fingers. You're not going to,
Special coating resistant to grease and oil. That's like a 3M fucking proprietary polymer spray probably on there in order to do that.
As it states in the article, though, Game Informer's Dave Milner points out that the urethane coating that keeps it grease-free actually makes the controller look rather greasy.
It looks slippery.
Yeah, exactly.
It's probably like that. Again, it's like probably some sort of like 3M-ish thing.
Yeah,
where
it's a polyurethane. That's basically what it is. That's what does it.
My friend one time, he was he was a contractor for the Navy. He got a chance to go up next to an Abrams tank one time and feel the coating on it. He said it felt slippery, the coating. It can sustain like fucking atomic blasts, those tanks. So I'm not saying that technology's on the Xbox controller, but it's in that family of like, this is high-tech stuff going on there. So they're making 200 of these, but
yep, they're only making 200.
But 5 are going on this one Facebook page for their contest, right?
It says each controller is individually numbered. 200 are being made globally. You can visit the Xbox ANZ Facebook page to find out how you can win one. So I don't know what percentage are being set aside to win.
Urethane coating. Okay, I was in the ballpark. Polyurethane.
However, depending on what the price is to make these, I feel like grease-resistant controllers would be fantastic. As a person who spends a lot of time cleaning controllers at their job, I would love it if more controllers were grease resistant.
That finger grime on there.
Oh boy, it's so good.
By the way, the picture of it has it in a bowl of greasy fried chicken.
It's good.
Because it's winter chicken dinner as a phrase in Fortnite, which is an old ass fucking...
No, that's PUBG.
Oh, it's PUBG?
PUBG is winter chicken
So why are
dinner.
they showing the chicken dinner there?
Because that's PUBG. This is for PUBG.
Oh, why do I think it was for Fortnite?
I don't know. I even just said it was for PUBG like before you said that.
Well, I wasn't paying attention.
Thank you. I don't think you ever do. Yeah. So that's... I don't know. I think that's a really good idea. Even the best of us get gross and sweaty and greasy when we're playing games sometimes.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm getting gross and sweaty right now.
If you're having a heated gamer moment.
If you're having a heated gaming moment, can they build a controller that's resistant to racial epithets?
Or racists. It just fucking blows you back through the wall and out the window into traffic. If you pick it up, it just knocks your ass dead. Just fucking kills you on the spot.
Jeez, Ian.
Yeah, anyways.
Hopefully there's some AI then for that heated gaming moment knows if you're just has a lapse in judgment or you're...
Yeah, you just got real racist for a second because someone shot you.
Okay. All right, Ian. Anything else to add here? We're the official Battle Royale podcast here, so we've had to mention at least one topic.
Yeah, we did.
RX Bar is a whole food protein bar. What does that mean? It means their bars are made with real whole ingredients. And up front, they tell you what's in here. 3 egg whites, 6 almonds, 4 cashews, 2 dates. And there you go. You know exactly what's in here. Beyond being a go-to snack that checks off a number of nutritional boxes, RX bars are actually delicious.
They're gluten-free, soy-free, dairy-free.
Whether you like sweet or savory, chocolate or fruit flavors, Ian. There's definitely an RX bar for you. Let's see. We got chocolate sea salt. I've had that one. I've had peanut butter chocolate. That's tasty. You have the mixed berry in your hand.
Mixed berry. I've had blueberry.
Coconut chocolate. It's all good. They're good for breakfast on the go. Snack at the office. Throw one in your bag when you're going out for a ride or a hike or the airplane. Pre-post workout snack. Egg white protein, Ian, stands out as a source of protein that is easy for your body to absorb. Brings in like the rays of the sun. It just gets right in there. 14 flavors. 14. There's mango, pineapple, the ones we mentioned. There's berries, chocolate sea salt, mint chocolate, peanut butter.
Mint chocolate.
Coffee chocolate. You want that little kick?
Yeah.
Go for that one. Right now, RX Bar also has a RX nut butter, which contains a few simple and similar ingredients like egg whites, fruits, and nuts. Each single serve packet contains delicious creamy nut butter with 9 grams of high quality protein. It's squeezable and spreadable. You got some toast, you got a bagel, you got a good old waffle pancake. It's good for you. You can pair it with pretzels even or rice cakes. Right now we have a special offer. Special offer for these yummy bars we've had, and they're delicious. Right now you go to rxbar.com/CUPodcast for 25% off, by the way. You enter promo code CUPodcast at checkout. Again, go to rxbar.com/CUPodcast. Enter promo code CUPodcast at checkout for 25% off. Go for something yummy, something nutritious and wholesome. RX Bar.
Get chewing.
All right, we have our Patreon Q&A poll going on. Go to patreon.com/CUPodcast, Ian, and you get some good goodies there. Like Ian has a writing once a week. He has a hangout once a month.
Doing my hangout this Saturday. September the date.
All right.
And what's the date?
Well, by the time this comes out, though, it might be after that. But if you listen to it, you're going to hear it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, audio, you'll hear it.
Saturday the 15th. This Saturday the 15th at
All right, so
noon.
The voting is in.
Meh.
In third place at 13% only. What game should get a remastered version similar to Streets of Rage 4? No one cares at 13%. 37%. If you could do a one-room mini arcade, what handful of games in pinball would go in it? 37%. And at 50%, the winner. Most overrated popular gaming console from the past. Ian, take it away.
Most overrated popular gaming console from the past, Super Nintendo.
Explain why you think it's overrated, Ian.
It's rated. I mean, it's a good system.
It's a good system.
It's a good.
So you give it a solid 7 out of 10? Is that what you're going to give it?
6.5.
Oh wow! You only give me the 7.
I mean, I'd possibly give it a 7. I mean, if we're going by like modern day IGN rating standards, sure. If we're using like I mean, if we're
modern days, use a regular 7. A 7's
okay. If we're using like a schoolyard, like C
no,
is
not
70.
Schoolyard. Schoolyard is failing. 70's a D. Was a D in my grade school.
60 was a D where I was. 70 was C.
Public
80
schooling.
was B. 90 was A. Sure, fine. They're a 7 out of 10. No, it's a fine system. I like action and platformer more than most anything. And
I gotta bring up the list of games now. Okay, go on.
Genesis has a lot of that. The Super Nintendo's standout titles are RPGs, and that was great for me back then. But I don't have the time so much now to go back and play all these classic RPGs.
So give me examples of like 5 Genesis games that there's not a comparable one on the Super Nintendo. You gotta back this up. People are gonna come for your head. You gotta back it up.
I'm just saying that Genesis in general has more games like...
And the libraries are comparably the same size, like 700 Genesis, 800 Super Nintendo, something like that. Or they're roughly the same size.
When I look at like the Genesis library, I can find stuff like Rystar, Toe Jam and Earl, the Mickey Mouse games that I like, the Castle of Illusion and World of Illusion.
The Haunting.
Well, that's an interesting one. I like the Aladdin better on the Genesis. Better version of RoboCop vs. Terminator. The Rocket Knight Adventures 1, which isn't on Super Nintendo. The Streets of Rage series, which I like better than what's on there. The Sonic the Hedgehog games. Basically, and then you've got your shooters in general, your Truxton, your Musha. I mean, that sort of thing. It's just
there's shooters on Super, but they're not
as great
caliber.
You can get it's not the same caliber. Just
you can get UN Squadron. You can get stuff like that.
Yes, but not as many. Not the same caliber to me. Also, Strider. It's a more arcade-focused machine. Sega has always been a more arcade-focused company.
Except for the arcade ports of stuff like Mortal Kombat 2, which is a hell of a lot better in Super Nintendo.
Sure.
Street Fighter 2 is a hell of a lot better in Super Nintendo. So the fighting games on the Genesis, I would say, are not close to the Super.
Overall, it's just where my taste lies.
Sure, I'm just saying, though.
Yeah. Super Nintendo's a
sports
fine
games,
system.
though. Sports games, Genesis.
NHL 94 on the Genesis
is better than
is
the
probably
Super Nintendo.
the best.
Not that the Super Nintendo games,
time.
not that the NHL Super Nintendo games are trash. They're just not as good as the Genesis.
Yeah,
they're just not as. They don't feel as right. Things like that. But you have Tecmo Super Bowl. Oh, it's on both systems. That's right. But you're gonna maybe defend stuff like Mega Man X series. You maybe defend that.
I didn't say it's bad. I just said it's overrated.
Defend that? Jesus.
No, this is the thing. Overrated does not mean bad. Overrated means overrated. I like the Super Nintendo. I think it gets blown too hard.
NBA Hang Time was awesome on the Super Nintendo. It's close to not. Well, the arcade is toned down. N64 one's the arcade, but that's a good one. There was a lot of weird stuff on the Super Nintendo that didn't show up on the Genesis. You had games that some were bad, some were good. Some were bad, like Bebe's Kids. Like weird licenses. Time Tracks is actually better than average, according to a certain Super Nintendo guidebooks coming out. So they took there's some weird licensing that happened. I think companies saw Super Nintendo still as like the family system and went to them and never bothered with the Genesis.
Yeah, there's some Viacom stuff that never came out on the Genesis, like Rocco's Modern Life never came out on the Genesis.
But you're right. It is a console where I think, and I said this in my Haunting Pat Names Point review, Genesis took more chances on stuff. There was definitely games that would never, like The Haunting, would never have come out in the Super Nintendo. It was just too bizarre, too adult, too weird, too gory in places that would not have come out.
You get the Genesis Ghostbusters. You get...
That's right.
I mean, you just get Altered Beast. Like I said, you get a lot more action arcade platform Twitch-type game experiences that when you really sit down and look at the Super Nintendo library as compared to Genesis or even the original Nintendo. And I think if someone were to come at me for that and I say, well, no, just compare the number of those games from the NES to the Super, and that's kind of where that happened for me as a kid as I became a bigger fan of the Genesis. You saw that there was a shift kind of in their focus on what type of games, especially Nintendo, even as a first party. You went to these longer, more story focused games, and Genesis still had a lot of the pick up and play fast action stuff.
All right. The most overrated popular gaming console. Oof. That's tougher for me because I don't think NES is overrated. I don't think the Super is. Genesis, I think, is rated right where it should be. Man, that's a tough one.
I always want to say N64, but I don't know if it's... I feel like it's getting to the point where...
That's too easy to say, though. I mean, okay.
I used to want to say... but
is a GameCube overrated? Or rated properly?
The GameCube seems to be rated properly. I don't think the reason why I would almost say N64 now is it's getting to the point where a lot of people in the store talk it up real big because it's that sweet spot for people who grew up with it.
Yeah, okay. You know, it is the N64. I was going to say Neo Geo, I think it's a little bit overrated.
It is.
But that's not, wasn't popular. N64 is overrated. And yes, we're at the point now, like Normal Boots is doing like their tournament of champions right now for Super Nintendo games. So like the 16.
I saw Pokemon Snap should win, but it didn't.
But here's the point, though. Once you get past like their list in the tournament, there's not a huge hell of a lot more you need to play on that system.
Sure.
Like you're pretty much, you get to like 20 games on the N64, you're pretty much set. And I've always maintained that. You're pretty set.
They didn't put Snowboard Kids in.
Well, join Normal Boots, Ian. You can get into the debate with Gerard and Jared and all of them. But when you look at the N64 game list, you're not really seeing a bunch of games that people are clamoring for remakes or remasterings of. You're not really have a lot of franchises that are still alive to this day that are like, oh, yeah, I remember that fond... give me an example here, Ian. Or show me one that... I don't know, Chopper Attack. Do people say, come to the store and say, I want to copy a Chopper Attack?
People do, and when they do, I look at it and go, I've never once been excited about even thinking about trying this game or looking into it. But, you know, it's probably one that they had growing up, and they're like, oh, I'll take that.
Mike Piazza's Strike Zone. So even the sports games are sort of were like one-offs. They weren't like...
I can probably tell you on 3 fingers how many copies of Mike Piazza's Strike Zone I've sold.
Was it a good game? Maybe.
Who knows?
You do have like this sort of like ones that are kind of still remembered like Mystical Ninja on the system. But for the most part, the N64 was a weird hybrid sports and racing system with a good first party games and a handful of like third party games. I mean, that's basically what the system was.
Yeah.
When you get down to it, I mean, half the system is racing and sports games. It really is.
Yeah. For two Nintendo fanboys, we both did just call out Nintendo systems as overrated.
That is true. Yeah, we did. Well, I would argue that I think mine is a little more of a slam dunk versus the Super Nintendo, but you know, there it is. N64 and Super Nintendo. But well, I think Super Nintendo is fine, personally. Enough to do with God.
It has to be rated a lot to be overrated to some.
That is true. It has to be highly rated to be overrated. That is true. It can't be lowly rated to be overrated.
Yeah.
All right. Someone's coming to the store to get let's see. They're gonna come in and get Indie Racing 2000 soon.
All right.
All right. I got some Q&A time on the CU podcast. This is from at the Real Cheetah. Have you or Ian ever questioned why you collect? Perhaps a little burnt or frustrated. How did you get over it? Congrats on all your recent milestones. Been watching about 6 years. Say hey to Frank.
Yeah, I've definitely burnt out on collecting before, a few times, and what was the first part of that question? There was
question why you collect, or are you a little burnt out?
Oh, why? Why? I don't know. I like to me, there's a little bit of obsessive compulsiveness to it. I did therapy for like 2 years. That got me through a lot of over my obsessive compulsiveness, but there's still...
So led you to the infamous Caltron deal? Was it a lot of therapy?
No. But there is still part of me that likes to have like a little collection or a little set of things. And I like to think of it as I don't know, like an insurance policy against boredom sometime in the future. Even though when I get bored now, I can't settle on deciding on anything to do. When I've burnt out on collecting, the two ways I got around it, the first time was to really look at my collection and decide, holy shit, the reason I'm burnt out on it is because I have too much stuff and I don't need half of this. So I slashed my collection in a huge way. Biggest thing was getting rid of almost all of my NES stuff, and it felt great. And I didn't feel bad about buying games for the stuff that I was still interested in, like PC Engine. I felt actually a lot better about that collection. I was only buying what I want for the PC Engine, and when I still add a game to the PC Engine collection, I still feel good about it because I know I use them and I like them and I'm having fun with it and I play them. And when I started to realize that PC Engine, over the years, especially within the past 3 or 4, I started to get a little priced out of my own hobby. I still buy the PC Engine games, but that started to kind of kill off a little bit of the collecting for me. And then I've always loved handhelds and I've always bought Game Boy games, but that's when I really started to start searching actively for black and white Game Boy games, just as a way when I'd go to conventions and such to be able to say I came back with something. Because when I'm at these conventions, I only ever really look for like PC Engine titles, and there's almost never any PC Engine titles at these conventions. Very rarely.
Our buddy Carlson has them.
Yeah, of course, and I always grab some from Carlson, but if he's not there, so I started looking for these Game Boy games, and I just started having a blast with it. There's just so many black and white Game Boy games out there that most people never played, that over the past 5 years I've had a really good time, taking the risk on buying some weird ones.
I have a bunch you can borrow. Did you borrow one time for me to play?
No.
You never bought that fished one? River Fish? What
I did buy that from you. Yeah.
Oh, you bought it from me?
Yeah, I bought that from you. Legend of the River King.
Oh, I thought we should borrow that. Oh. We could do a rental system with the Game Boy games, Ian.
How strange.
I have a whole Tupperware of them in the other rooms, in the weird front room that's filled with garbage. I've never questioned why I collect. I've a question to the extent I've collected. I know why I collect. It's nostalgia, empty childhood, fill that hole in your soul. That's easy stuff that you should work out through therapy. And plus you have, I hate to say it, a lot of people get in collecting because they have too much expendable income.
Yep.
If you are struggling to eat or to support a family or to have a mortgage, you are more likely not to spend money on bullshit, even though we have seen personally people in the store and people in our lives and people that I know someone personally that should not have been spending the amount of money they had because they didn't have that money to spend.
Yep.
So when you have an expendable income, especially when you're 20s, you're out of college, you have a decent paying job like I did, and you know, especially when you're living at home still. If you're living at home still and have a full-time job, there's a lot of money going in your pocket at that point. When you don't have a lot of bills, or I think I had some student loans, but I didn't have any car bills yet. I still had a crappy old Geo Prism with BB holes in the side of it. I still had that going on. So it was really money to eat and to buy NES games. That's really where the money was going. And going to TGI Fridays and getting their great Mott sticks and Oreo Madnesses at the time, which is why I was overweight.
Flat Mott sticks.
Flat Mott sticks?
Yeah, that's how Fridays.
The wheel one, they put them on top of the burger sometimes. I was not healthy eating out at TGI Fridays and Bennigan's. I was not. Anyway, so it's always been to me.
My dad loves Bennigan's.
Bennigan's. Okay. Anyway, so that's what I would say. I question to the extent, am I going overboard, buying too many things? Am I spending too much money in the grand scheme of things? Even if I can't afford it, should I be spending that money? Could I be going towards other things? Could I be going on a vacation with that money? You know, when you have to spend money on top of the money for your collection, like buying new shelves and maybe buying Castle Country, then you start to question things more.
Yes. And
also start to question, I'm buying these things now for some sort of weird enjoyment. How am I going to enjoy it 5 years from now, 10 years from now?
That's also that's also when I know I'm kind of getting to another breaking point where I need to stop a collection, get rid of a collection, or just call it quits on something.
Sure.
Or start consuming some of those things and then passing them on is when I'm like, okay, this has gone from this is for a rainy day or a rainy week to when am I going to have 4 rainy years?
Yeah, I'm still looking at the day when I get a U-Haul and bring half my collection to Luna Video Games, 2 locations in El Cajon and in Chula Vista. So that will happen at some point, probably next year once I'm more settled. I'm going to say, okay, let's really pare this down. Let's get rid of half of the Genesis games, half of the N64 games, most of them, because there's only 10 games you need. Half of the overrated Super Nintendo games. All right, next question.
This will have to be my last. I got it. It takes them forever to get here.
Keeping Up Gaming. What's the one thing you miss the most about classic gaming that you wish would return? I, for one, miss instruction manuals.
I'm going to fucking go with instruction manuals, actually. And I'll tell you why. I saw this question and it homed in on me like a fucking laser. So I love instruction manuals. Ones that I really like, there's the Nightmare of Druaga for the PS2 has a great one, full color, lots of cute little chibi art, the characters drawn in there, like Gil, the main character, and it's like little cartoons of him, and they're like showing you how you can move around the map screen and all that. I love old manuals that have like the hand-drawn art. It's cute, it looks fun, especially like in the old NES and Super Nintendo manuals where getting screenshots and stuff like that wasn't a perfect science, and it was sometimes just obviously pictures of a TV, or instead like the monsters were literal like rough sketches.
Oh, the artwork! I love the artwork in NES manuals.
Yeah.
Because half the time it's like they hired someone just from the office that, all right, we need some picture that kind of looks like him, and sometimes they look nothing like him.
Right. Do your best job at a moblin. Okay, fine.
Okay, sure. Here you go.
And then the names underneath the monsters and such. I love that stuff. And there were some companies that were still putting in that effort in the PS2, and even a few in the 360 and PS3 and Wii days. But now it's it seems like unless it's a special edition or something that Limited Run does, there was a special and a limited. I think that's a twofer. You don't see a manual. Vani has been interested in playing Monster Hunter on the Switch. She really enjoyed watching Monster Hunter World when I was playing that. She likes all the characters. She's always been interested in the game. And she loves the Switch, so she's like, okay, I think I'm gonna get this one. So I picked it up. I love Monster Hunter, and I'm thinking I tried the demo just to show her what it was, and the demo lets you try out like 6 fighting styles. And I realized going into the demo, oh right, there's no tutorial. There's just nothing. They don't show you. They don't tell you what any of the buttons are. Monster Hunter is notoriously difficult to get into. Like, they don't hold your hand for any of it. World made it a bit easier. So I go and I grab my physical copy later, and I'm just like, I know there's no manual, but why? Some game, I know that most games stopped needing manuals because of hand-holding tutorials, and that's why most of them don't need it, but there is still a need for a manual. There's nothing like having a paper reference.
A reference guide.
Fighting games.
Fighting games?
Fighting games, complicated RPGs, or things with lots of controls and lots of shit to do, like, Monster Hunter, or, like I said, role-playing games, anything with, like, a complicated set of moves. It's absurd. I've played 5 Monster Hunters, and even I would like some sort of reference, because I mean, your Monster Hunter games span 3DS, PSP, PS2, PS4, Xbox now. You're playing these games with complex control schemes, and I've played them on 4 different systems. It's nice to have something to look at.
Yeah, and looking at your phone is not going to cut it. Looking up an FAQ.
I've tried. It sucks. I was trying to do that last night to help Vonnie with the demo. And what ends up is she would probably love that game. But I think by the end of just trying to fuck around with the controller and figure out like the different controls for sheathing and unsheathing, she's like, she was frustrated as shit. So manuals, they can help you sell things. Like,
no, manuals are nice.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Plus, they can tell a story.
Yes.
The first time I played Legend of Zelda, everyone opened up that thick-ass manual and had like the stories. Go, there's a backstory to this. Because it wasn't like a sprawling backstory to a lot of console games at the time. It was like, hit the monkey in the face and get a prize. Like, that was the story to a lot of games. So...
Yes, very good, Pat. This is maybe old man me talking at this point now. I mean, that's the practical reason why I miss manuals. But old man me is... I want to be able to like turn on a game and get to playing it in maybe about 10 minutes, not half an hour, 35, like with the intro story. That was a great thing about a manual. Open it up, read that intro, be like, okay, I got some context.
I used to read the entire NES manual before I played the game. I would read the whole thing. Okay, I'm set. I know the enemies. I know what's going on. I know the controls. I think it has 2 buttons.
I used to love taking the manuals for a new game to work and to school and breezing through them in the morning in homeroom.
All right. Real quick for me, I missed the surprise of in retro games. When the game came out, you see some screenshots, Nintendo Power, and you say, oh, it's coming out in spring? Okay, Three Stooges is coming out next year. I love those Three Stooges marathons locally that my dad would tape over in the VHS and yelled at me one year because I taped over by accident. I was upset for a week. But I love those games that they give you like, oh, Pack Watch. Oh, this game's coming out in Sega Visions or Turbo Plays. Oh, Legendary X is coming out next year or whatever. So nowadays, you have not just an announcement of the game 2 years before it comes out, or 5 when it comes to like the new fucking Elder Scrolls game. It's like, oh, this game's in development. You'll see it in 30 years. But until that time, you're going to have various character trailers and gameplay trailers and announcements. You're going to have a open beta where anyone can play it and know what the gameplay is exactly like. Then you're going to have the E3, you can play it at E3. Then you're going to have IGN be able to play it early. So you're going to have all this, the game. And then, like, when Spider-Man came out, it's like, oh, here's the first 20 minutes of the game before the game's out.
I can't stand
the
that.
First 20 minutes of the game before it's out. Do you imagine when a Super Nintendo game came out and Nintendo said, here's the first 20 minutes of Super Mario World? Like, do you imagine that? It would have ruined it for you.
Yeah.
There's no surprise anymore. The magic is fucking gone. And that's old man Pat. We don't need to see the first hour of a game. And that goes to Nintendo too. Here's the first hour of Breath of the Wild or whatever. Like, we don't need to see that much.
Yeah, they were doing that with Mario, and for whatever reason with those sorts of games, it feels even
more dirty.
It's
like, no, I don't want to be able to see the first boss of the game before I get there. I don't want to see that. I want to discover myself. That's part of the experience of video games.
I was angry when Nintendo.
That's the adventure.
When Nintendo told I can't believe Nintendo blew the whole you turn into a T-Rex thing. It was like, just let that be everyone's surprise.
Well, they wanted to make sure it's sold, and the Switch was still sort of in, not limbo, but we want to make sure this is a smash hit, this system, and obviously it is. But imagine though if they showed you, they show you every single, it shows you the bullet bill changeover. in that, didn't they?
Yeah, it was a great game, but yes, at the end of the day, I agree. I think I've even said that in response to a similar question on the podcast before.
Oh, I'm not copying you.
The lack of, even just from the people who play games, the lack of desire to be surprised anymore is mind-blowing.
Yes, people want too much info about these games too.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if they didn't announce half these characters for Smash and they kept it a secret. Now it's like, oh, here's all 75 characters and all the levels before you get into it. Wouldn't it be more fun if they kept some of that back?
Yeah, you know? But would they sell as many copies?
Yes, they would, Ian, because you don't need 80 fighters in any fucking game.
Well,
50's enough fighters for a game.
Yeah, well, sure, but...
If someone's going to be that whiny, but, oh, my character's not in it, I don't think it is, they'll find out later from someone else that it's an unlockable.
They would, though. Yeah. I mean, it's more cutthroat now, so I don't know. Maybe people would want to bitch.
That Smash scene's fucking weird. The whole thing is weird, by the way. There's so many weird fandoms mixed up into Smash.
Nintendo fans and enemies are weird.
And enemies?
Nintendo.
You're an enemy now for not liking Super Nintendo. I'm an enemy for not liking N64. But we're fanboys. Anyway, is that it?
That's it.
I got rid of a topic because Ian has to call his lift. He should probably do it now while I'm talking to him. Ian's going to do a Google Hangout this weekend on the 16th?
Saturday the 15th.
And I'll be at a video game con in New Jersey, my home state. I'll get some pork roll because that's healthy. I'll do that. And then
say hi to Rocco. Hi, Rocco. Say hi to Antoinette. Hi, Antoinette.
Rocco came up to me at the booth in Hartford. Came up to me and said, "Hey, Rocco." The biggest wet willy of my life right in that ear.
Oh, he's a good boy.
You gotta buy me dinner first before we do that next time, buddy.
He's such a good guy.
Yeah, he loves me. And you'll miss out the sushi village we're gonna be at. Yeah, sushi village, that's the best one. But I won't see Norm this year there. But I just saw him. Norm's a good guy.
You might see the CFOS guys.
They're not coming.
Oh, they're not. I was texting with Mike, but they're not gonna make it.
They're not gonna make it, unfortunately.
Bummer.
All right. You can't black out again this year.
I was with it.
With it.
Yeah, I remember it. We had a good time.
Other than that, check us out. Twitch. We have our Twitch channels going. It's Pixel Sickle. Right?
PXL SICLE.
Country code for myself. I'm hosting Ian on there. I think he's right above or below Bob Ross. So he's in the Bob Ross mix there. Either you see Ian or Bob Ross, one or the other.
Yay.
You're going to see there. And yeah, that's it. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks. And for Ian Ferguson, I'm Pat Contry.
Travel back in time and come see me at work.
Come see Ian at work. All right. Take care.